This is Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin. This is Matt Braynard with Look Ahead America.
Hey,
Good. I'm ready to get started. Everything's on the record.
all right, perfect. Okay, first of all, I just want to hear why you decided to start the jobs platform. What kind of inspired the idea?
I have talked to countless victims of the political persecution of January 6th rally and protest participants, and one consistent line through all of it is that this activity has caused them to lose their jobs. And I also know that there are a lot of folks who accepted plea deals who will be getting out of prison soon. And it's a big red mark, as it is for anybody that's been convicted of any crime, to try to rejoin civil society and find gainful employment. And I can also share with you that many of the people who attended, say, the rally on the Ellipse, didn't go anywhere near the Capitol, also faced consequences. In fact, the very first person that Look Ahead America hired over a year ago was somebody who was fired because they just happened to be at the protest that day. They didn't go anywhere near the Capitol. And so far, two individuals who were involved with January 6th have already been driven to suicide. And I know that financial strain, not just on yourself, but on your whole family, is a factor in that. And that many of these folks are, for ultimately being charged with misdemeanor trespass, have had their savings wiped out, lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their businesses to pay for attorneys and related fees. So no one else seemed to be stepping up into this. And as with many things with January 6th, Look Ahead America is taking the lead, trying to help these people rejoin civil society so they can become productive Americans again.
So I know it seems like you just announced the platform, but I saw it's been up for a couple of weeks. Have you had any interest so far from businesses or, people who were at the Capitol on January 6th?
Yes, we have. We sort of soft rolled it out about a week and a half ago at an event in DC, and we formally rolled it out. I think it was today or yesterday that the big announcement went out. Maybe it was today. And so far, we've actually had quite a lot of employers step up. And today, we actually connected our first J6er to an employer. So hopefully that will turn into a job for them.
Do you know if any of the employers have been in Arizona?
I will not share that information with you.
Okay. Do you have an estimate of how many employers have expressed interest or how many people looking for jobs?
Well, in terms of employers, so far, we announced it today, we've already gotten a few dozen of them. In terms of the J6ers, reaching out to them is going to be fairly straightforward. We already have the database of all of the people that have been charged, and we know all their lawyers. So we'll just reach out to all of them and say, your clients, if they're having trouble finding gainful employment, we'd love to help them. We also know the people who have been jailed and are being released. There are also support groups for these people that we'll be reaching out to, making sure that they know that we have these opportunities available to them. The more difficult thing, though, is making sure that there are the patriotic employers out there who have the courage to give these people a new opportunity are aware of this program. So we're investing $20,000 in terms of marketing it to try to find employers, as well as spending some money to make sure that everybody that's been affected by this is aware that this is a way that they can get some much needed help.
So when you say support groups, are those support groups run by your organization or just support groups that you're directing them to?
Oh, no, well, support groups of people who are being tried by the Department of Justice, or families of those who have faced hardship because a member of their family, who perhaps the breadwinner, had been arrested or charged or convicted in the aftermath, and they sort of naturally built groups. We're just Look Ahead America is not running anything like that, but because we do the Political Prisoner podcast, we're always looking for people to come on and tell their stories. So I became intimately familiar with this problem, but I do know that they have different groups, just basically support groups of folks who are currently suffering, and I think it eases some of the suffering to have somebody else there, with them that shares the same burden, letting them know that it does indeed get better.
So how are you hoping to reach businesses that be interested in employing these people?
Well, the ones we've already reached, we've got a pretty good diverse group of employers in terms of trades. We've got healthcare, trucking, event management, transportation, logistics, and internet and IT. Employers in those fields who have already stepped forward saying that they want to give people opportunity. But geography is, I think, for a lot of these jobs, an important part of it. So again, we're going to take the money that we've earmarked for this project and probably do some online marketing. We also were able to find quite a few, and we'll continue to find them among our own donor base. We've got a pretty good-sized email list, so when we let folks know about this project today, we had some employers just immediately say, yeah, send somebody to me, this is what we do, this is what I'm looking for, this is where I am. We publicize it on social media, but again, I think we'll be doing some digital marketing to employers, and we're sort of brainstorming the best way to reach potential employers who would be willing to do this. And we're talking to reporters like you is one of the other means we have of getting the message out to let people know that, hey, if you want to give some of these people a second chance to get their lives on the right path, reach out to us, Look Ahead America, and we'll connect you.
So would you say that you think these people are more deserving of a second chance than other people who could have been convicted of felonies or misdemeanors, or do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that everybody that's been convicted and serves their time deserves a chance. What I do know is that whenever there's political activity on the left that results in this, that there's an entire apparatus set up to, from the beginning to end, help them, which is to start by getting them attorneys, getting them group attorneys so they all cooperate together to basically block out any opportunity for convictions. That if they're in prison, they've got people looking out for their well-being. We had left-wing attorneys flying down to Guantanamo Bay to assure the rights of individuals who are trying to kill American soldiers. And then when they get out of prison, there are a multitude of programs targeted at helping them get employment. Our problem, though, is a little bit different, whereas if you employ somebody that committed murder and they got out of prison after, 5 or 10 years and give them a job, the media treats them as a hero. If you employ somebody who basically lost everything and was convicted of misdemeanor trespass because they were at the Capitol on January 6th, a journalist is going to call that employer up and say, hey, we're writing a story about you for hiring a domestic terrorist who committed insurrection. Do you have a comment? My deadline is in 3 minutes. And then they try to put those employers on the spot and destroy them, which is one of the reasons why we're not going to allow any journalists to dox any of the employers that are working with us. So I think that is the difference, and that's a place that Look Ahead America is not afraid to tread, but we will be protecting the identities of any employers that want to help, specifically because of the viciousness of the media to try to vilify the businesses, many of whom have no experience being under the torrent of hate that can generate.
I'm going to point out that I think it's a little unfair to say that journalists call up and say their deadline is in 3 minutes, because I've never done that, and I don't know anyone else who has ever done that.
Well, you'll have to forgive me for the hyperbole, but it is on a daily basis, and this has happened the last 2 days in a row. I've got a journalist who came to me and said, hey, I've been working on a story for weeks, researching. We need a comment from you, and you're the subject of the story, and the deadline is in a few hours. So that happens all the time, and that's a little hyperbole to say 3 minutes, but it's not much. And I'm not accusing you personally of anything. That is my experience working with the media over these last several years.
Okay. Give me just a second. I had another question, and it's gone out of my brain now. Oh, can you give me an example of a business that employed someone who committed murder and was treated as a hero?
After they got out of prison? For hiring people?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. The Senate campaign of Fetterman in Pennsylvania. He's got 2 murderers on his payroll. But he gave these guys a second chance. He's helping them re-enter society. Did you think I'd have an answer for that one, or didn't you? Be honest.
I never assume anything until someone tells me. That's why I ask the question.
Well, but you know very well that there are federally funded programs meant to help convicts of, regardless of what they've done, gain employment again. The people that I'm helping out suffer from a very different problem because if somebody employs them, they become a political target and have their lives destroyed too, rather than being lauded as hiring ex-convicts and giving them a second chance, which is typically the media narrative when that happens.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you think people need to know?
The URL, lookaheadamerica.org/jobs4J6.
All right. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me.
You're very welcome.
All right. Bye.